Good morning, and welcome back to CB Star Radio with your host, Crystal Barker King. I'm so grateful that you're here with me today. Sometimes the answers we're searching for are not in the latest book. They're not in the newest technology, but in the wisdom that has been with us for centuries. Our ancestors lived much closer to the earth, to the rhythms of nature, and to the simple truths that kept communities alive and connected. Today we're going to explore ancient wisdom for modern living. We'll talk about natural remedies, spiritual practices, and forgotten truths that can still help us live healthier, more peaceful lives today. At the end, I'll invite you to reflect on which of these ancient ways you feel most drawn to. I want to start with a story, something very real and very human. Imagine a time, hundreds of years ago. A mother passes away during childbirth, leaving behind a newborn who cannot be nourished the way nature intended. What would a family do? In many cultures, the answer was goats. Goat's milk was one of the first natural substitutes used for babies, and it often saved lives. Why? Because it's gentle, easy to digest, and more similar to human milk than cow's milk. Let that sink in for a minute. We have literally been programmed to think that we need cow's milk for survival, but I think people are starting to realize that we don't actually need cow's milk. Families have leaned on the earth and its creatures to fill in the gaps of human survival for centuries. This reminds us a powerful truth. Nature often provides exactly what we need. If we're willing to listen and look closely, that's the kind of wisdom our ancestors lived by every day. Some ancient practices that were very popular amongst many cultures are herbal remedies. For example, chamomile. Everyone's heard of chamomile tea. This little flower has been used for centuries to calm the mind, soothe the stomach, and even help babies sleep. Can you imagine telling someone to give their baby chamomile tea? They would tell you they can't have that, they're too little, they can only have formula, or they can only have breast milk. Again, a topic for another day. Today, we can still sip chamomile tea to settle our nerves or ease anxiety. Garlic is another powerful healer. It was used in ancient times to fight infection. It's actually a natural antiviral, and it helps build immunity. And if you mix garlic cloves and honey, look up the recipe, well, that's, considered an old wives' tale or an old remedy, but it works, and it's been scientifically proven as well. All of you know that listen, that I tend to merge spiritual and science together because much like every other human on the planet, I like to know that something has been proven. Even though I don't rely on that to believe in something, I do like to have that side of it, to help more people understand. But today, immunity and science confirms its antibacterial properties. It's got a lot of benefits to it. So if you have time to make it, it's literally just a clove of garlic and you crack it open, peel it, expose the raw garlic, keep it whole, put it in a jar, fill it with honey, let it sit for a couple weeks in the refrigerator, and you're good to go. Obviously, like anything, it can mold over time, so just keep an eye on it. But generally speaking, it lasts a very long time without having any issues. Another thing, that we were told we have to have all these preservatives in our food, and we don't. Canning, if you don't know what canning is, I don't personally do it. I should preach, practice what you preach, right? But it's another method of preserving food and things without additives, chemicals to preserve. People survive thousands of years without the chemicals we've put into our food in the last 100 years. And again, a topic for another day. Sound and rhythm also are a great way of calming the heart. Long before modern music, people used drums, chants, bells as tools for healing. The steady beat of a drum can slow the heart rate, calm the nervous system, and bring a community into harmony. Chanting or singing together wasn't just about rituals, it was medicine for the soul. Music is medicine. I have said this for years. I was in choir. I played the 3/4 size tuba in middle school. I have always been drawn to music and singing. I definitely listen to music when I am stressed out or if I'm sad. I often will put music on. Number one, it helps to get the focus off of what I'm thinking and onto what the words of the song are. But a lot more lately, I'm getting in tune with, scientific proof of, certain level of hertz music, things that help with the pineal gland. I recently bought a panda drum, and if you don't know what a panda drum is, look into it. Some people call them a rain drum. When it's raining out, it can play sounds and notes, but it also comes with a little wand. I'll give you a little taste of what that sounds like. Hold on. Relaxing, right? Today, when we hum, sing, or listen to music, we are literally tapping into that same healing frequency. Crystals and stones. Now, this one, I always get a lot of backlash from my Christian community, the Catholic community, which I find fascinating too, because if you look at the Vatican, the cup, there's just the cross when they walk down the aisle at church, they all have stones in them. And if you don't know that, or you've never paid attention, pay attention. And also look at what stones they have. Then, if curiosity really gets your mind going, go look up what those stones mean or the meaning behind them, or let's get into the science side of frequency, the frequency of stones. Around the world, stones and crystals have been carried, worn, or placed in homes for grounding, protection, and balance for many years. Amethyst is often used for peace of mind, rose quartz for love, and obsidian for protection, black obsidian. Whether you see them as spiritual tools or simply as reminders of intention, they carry energy. And again, it's science. If you don't believe me, go look it up. There's plenty of studies that show. And if you think that they don't carry energy, go look at your watch. If you have a quartz watch, what do you think is powering that watch? Long before batteries or watches that charge themselves are most often quartz. Quartz carries energy, therefore giving a battery of sorts. Your pineal gland also has crystal structures inside of it in your head. So think of your head almost like an antenna. Again, a topic for another day. But all of these things, sometimes get like a bad name but again, there's a lot that was taken out of modern day Christianity, Catholicism. There was a lot of books removed from the modern day Bible. Dig deeper. If you feel like something is off, I always say, do the research. You don't have to ask questions, and don't be afraid to go and ask your pastor or your priest. And you know what I like to do for fun? I'll ask one pastor or priest a question. That same question I'll go and ask another pastor or priest, maybe of a different religion, like Episcopalian, Catholicism, Baptist. And you'll be surprised at the different answers you get. And today, I think the Baptist church actually has given me the most spiritual answers out of all of the priests I've ever asked questions that directly relate back to crystals or spiritual tools or what their beliefs are and how they incorporate that into their practice or their, in their congregation. Spiritual connections are also huge. And spiritual doesn't always mean like talking to the dead or, spiritual is spiritual. Spiritual is religion. Religion and spirituality, it's all the same. All of these practices point back to something bigger. The deeper connection here between humans, nature, and spirit. Our ancestors didn't separate the physical from the spiritual. They saw the two as one. And a lot of that you can see in old paintings. If you look at paintings, they often depicted the physical world with the spiritual world. Hence, the pictures of the creation, that is a physical body, and then touching the finger of God. There's just a lot. There's so many of them out there. But just, again, pay attention next time. And back then they didn't have AI and they didn't have, the ability to create a false image, I'll say. They painted what they saw and what they believed. Obviously, we have imagination, so it doesn't mean that everything that was painted was reality. But oftentimes, they just painted what they saw because, again, they were not in the same era that we are. There wasn't as much of a false narrative, I guess, I feel, when it comes to things like that. Jesus himself often used the natural world as a teaching tool. When he spoke of seeds, of trees, and bread and wine, these were symbols rooted in the earth. And I'm going to go back to the seeds thing, which I talked about in another episode. If you're buying seedless fruit or they're telling you that, it's the new way, removing seeds from fruit is not normal. A lot of our fruit today looks completely different than it did back in the day. It's just not the same. We have literally genetically modified so much. And you know how I found this out the hard way? I started growing my own vegetables and I was like, what in the world am I doing? There's no way I'm going to live off this stuff I'm growing. It's so tiny. Have you ever seen a wild carrot? It's not perfectly straight up and down. It literally is spiraled. It's the same thing, but it does not look the same. Aesthetically, they look really crazy. And if you don't believe me, go Google again, or whatever search engine you use to see what fruits and vegetables look like in their natural environment, not where they're mass produced. His teachings were of love, compassion, and healing. They flowed perfectly alongside the wisdom of other traditions that honor nature and simplicity. When we reconnect with these older ways, whether it's sipping an herbal tea, drumming with friends, or carrying a crystal in our pocket, we're not just practicing something old-fashioned. We are actually remembering who we are. We're remembering that healing doesn't always have to be complicated. Sometimes it's as simple as breathing, and breathing is a technique as well. I recently found out that we don't actually breathe right, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. There are breathing techniques, and most of us don't actually take a breath in and hold it or as deep as we should be. And again, your body relies on air, oxygen, so look that up as well. And I might do another episode where I talk about some of these things in more depth. But in today's episode, I just wanted to focus on a couple things. So when someone is calling something natural, holistic, or they're telling you there's a way to deworm yourself with just some seeds and honey, or there's, natural immunities, or dandelion is a good liver detox. And there's just so many out there. Don't discredit it, because there is a reason why big pharma and pharmaceutical has evolved the way that it has. And I also want to put this on here as a permanent record that I recently saw something that said that Russia has cured cancer or has a vaccine. Just know that if something suddenly is coming out, it's because they've already had it. They've known, they just haven't released it to the public. Just like our technology, it's been around for a long time. And if you think AI was just invented or created you're sadly mistaken. They always have this available before it's available to the public. Keep that in mind. So as we close today, I just want to ask you, what ancient practice calls to you right now? Is it soothing comfort of herbs? Are you suddenly getting into herbal teas? Is it the grounding energy of stones? Or maybe the rhythm of sound and music that reminds you of your heartbeat? I personally am just regrounding myself, spending more time in nature. I am totally going back to the side of me that loved music as a child. I absolutely love it. When my grandkids come over now, I let them play with all of the things, music, harmonica, guitar, the panda drum I just bought. I got a tambourine. I just remember that being very prominent in my childhood, and music is a great way of releasing your own energy and a good outlet, and also breaking up the negativity in a room. So take a moment to reflect on how you can bring one of these practices into your daily life. Because the truth is, we carry the wisdom of generations inside us. All we have to do is remember. Remember, remember, remember. Thank you for sharing this time with me today. And until next time, and as always, love is the answer. And today, the wisdom of the past is still alive within you. So remember it. Stay grounded, stay inspired, and as always, remember the stars.